Welcome to King County at your service. I'm Isaiah Artis. Next time you get a jury summons, you won't have to come down to the courthouse in person. King County started remote jury selection during the pandemic. Since then, court clerks and judges have been working to make the process faster and easier for you.
The right to a jury trial is one of the most fundamental rights we have in this country. Good afternoon, prospective jurors. Thank you for joining. I'm Judge McCoy. I'm one of your 54 Superior Court judges here in King County, and I want to welcome you to jury selection.
The first time, years ago, jury selection was a little bit nervous because I'm taking the bus downtown, sitting there in that big room with people all over the place.
When COVID hit, they started doing jury selection using the Zoom platform.
Jury selection now, it was online on Zoom, which was lovely.
All right, if you're just joining us, if you could please turn your video on.
This way, jury selection takes about 2 hours, and you don't have to spend the time traveling, and you can stay in your office and work, or at your home and work until you're called into the courtroom. You don't have the transportation problems, you don't have the childcare problems, and so you're able to participate in the process much more easily. Having Zoom jury selection has resulted in more people being able to participate in the justice system. When you have people from different walks of life who are participating in jury selection and sharing their views and sharing their life experiences and participating in their government, it is a benefit.
The amount of trials we do per week have changed. We're averaging about 17 trials in session per week, whereas prior to that, we had less.
Now, because we're able to do so many more trials, we're whittling away at the great backlog of civil cases that developed during COVID and getting people their day in court. Our citizens have a right to that, and they have a right to efficient government.
Firefighters often train on different types of structures, but imagine fighting flames on an aircraft filled with explosive fuel. That's the specialty of ARF, the Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting Unit. They're stationed at King County's International Airport.
The King County Airport is one of the busiest non-commercial airports in the country, and we depend on ARF. In 1999, the Sheriff's Office entered into a partnership to provide a unique combination of services to the King County International Airport. They respond to aircraft emergencies, hazardous fuel spills, and structure fires. Our deputies serve as part of the safety and security network, which keeps aviation one of the safest modes of travel today.
One of the private jets just took off. I missed my flight. ARF stands for Aircraft Rescue and Firefighting, ARFF. Everyone in the Sheriff's Office just calls it the ARF unit. We have police, which is all of our deputies are police, of course, fire and EMS. So we do emergency medical service as well. Most of the incidents we respond to are, as far as aircraft crashes, maybe they forgot to put their landing gear down, or the landing gear failed, or they blew a tire or something like that. Most of it isn't involving fire, but the potential for fire and danger is obviously there with aircraft. We're waiting for the worst day of someone's life ever to go hopefully make it better. The different thing from us is that we fight the fire mostly from our trucks. Generally, we aren't pulling hoses off the trucks and fighting fires that way. We're using the trucks to actually fight the fires themselves. We can actually control the trucks and the nozzles that are on the trucks and try to extinguish the fire as soon as we arrive on scene. They have a large nozzle on top which can flow up to 1,200 gallons per minute. They also have a piercing nozzle for if you have a cargo, say a UPS jet, which you get a lot in here, and it has an interior fire in one of the cargo pallets. We can actually pierce the outer skin of that jet into the cargo compartment and try to extinguish the fire that way. I have a great team here, a great group of guys. They do a lot of training, they work very hard. It's a lot of certifications to maintain and update.
All of us at this point have gone through the Zone 3 Fire Academy. So we go through the Fire Academy as if we were going to go work for a career fire department. Then we have to go through ARF training. It's similar in a lot of ways, but it's also different in our objective when we go into a plane as opposed to going into a house. There's a lot of good people that work here. It's a good place to be. We get to see some really cool stuff that most people don't get to see in their daily lives.
And that's a really cool site. I see Scott as the future of ARF. He seems to be that built-in leader, strong personality who can kind of guide people. He's a big guy, big strong guy, but he knows the job, he knows what he's supposed to do, and I'm impressed with him.
I've always loved like fighter jets and military planes and whatnot. Someone once told me that I'm too tall to fly any of those, so that dream died a long time ago. People ask how tall I am, and I usually just tell them tall. We're trained to deal with newer planes and the problems that they have. The warbirds come into town and it's a whole different set of issues that they have. We have to get a walk through and they tell us where the fuel shutoff is, where the bottles are, the extinguishing agents in the engines and whatnot. It's a good refresher for us every year just in case something does happen to one of them. The mechanics are a little dated themselves, but they're the only folks that can work on those. Last year I came for Seafair. I brought my little boy. You kind of get your own little private air show when they take off and then when they come back by the airfield. The pilots are really awesome. They kind of put on a little bit of a mini air show for us right over top of the airfield. Seeing them take off a couple hundred feet away is really cool.
Why do I like my job? Well, we probably have one of the most beautiful views in the county. We look down the runway and Mount Rainier is right down the runway. It's an absolutely gorgeous view. Looking at across the airfield at multi-million-dollar planes and watching the activity go on and off the airport is pretty exciting. It's rewarding. It's definitely, the firefighting part's fun. I think it's worthwhile.
Hi, my name is Jenny Brookshire. Part of my job is to make sure that sharps, including needles, are disposed of properly, and to let you know what you can do if you find these items.
My name is Yolanda Pond. Our role is to encourage the public to be a good Samaritan when they see a discarded needle and educate them on how to safely pick up the needle and where they can bring the needle to have it properly disposed for free.
Anytime you encounter sharps, you want to be very careful. Even a small injury from a used needle leaves you at risk for getting an infection or even contracting a disease. When you see a used needle in your work's bathroom or on the playset, your first reaction might be just to grab the needle and quickly toss it in the garbage. However, you should not pick up needles or any sharps unless you have the right equipment, and needles should not go in the garbage.
Let's talk through the process for disposing of sharps.
You will need gloves, preferably puncture resistant, a sharps container, and a tool to pick up the sharps such as tongs, pliers, or a broom and a dustpan.
If you don't have a sharps container, you can use a thick plastic container that the needle won't puncture through, like an empty laundry detergent bottle. Don't use an empty milk bottle or thin water bottle. Always place used sharps and syringes in a safe container with the needle pointing down. To minimize accidental punctures, do not recap needles. Place used, uncapped needles and syringes directly into a safe container.
Please visit our website to find sharps disposal locations. There are transfer stations and drop boxes where you can take sharps containers for free. The containers go into a special kiosk and it is kept away from the other waste. Even if you are wearing gloves, do not pick up syringes or needles with your hands.
Sharps cannot go with your regular garbage or recycling. Also, please do not flush sharps down the toilet. Sharps disposed of improperly put others, including garbage handlers, at risk. Unfortunately, children are more likely to be pricked by discarded needles because they may want to play with them. It is also not uncommon for sharps to be found in parks where children play.
We feel it's a good idea for parents to do a quick survey of the play areas before their children begin playing. Parents also need to advise their children to stay away from any sharps they encounter and alert their parents if they find them. We know these things can be daunting and scary, but with the right tools and a calm mindset, you can help keep yourself, your family, and your community safe.
From Puget Sound to Snoqualmie Falls, scientists at the King County Environmental Lab are keeping an eye on our regional water quality. What's the science behind it? Let's go behind the scenes to see how they are working hard to protect our water.
It's a big yellow buoy just north of the Fauntleroy Ferry Terminal. We're collecting water quality data every 15 minutes at the surface. So it's got instruments that stick down from the buoy into the water.
In the center of here are all the electronics and a couple really big batteries.
And then also some instruments that sit on top of the buoy that are measuring what's happening in the atmosphere.
It's connected to a cellular modem and sends that data to the web every 15 minutes. Yep, the whole thing is solar powered.
So we're getting all of this data about what's happening above the water, but also in the water.
So all the instruments are working great. They just are starting to get a little growth on them.
Coprelids, AKA ghost shrimp.
Our instruments get completely coated with them. The whole thing is just pulsating with these guys.
I think they could make like a really tasty, crunchy protein snack. Nobody else finds them appealing, but I do.
All right, we're clear.
In order to get a robust and reliable idea of whether something is changing, you have to measure it for a long time. There was a marine heat wave in the Pacific Ocean that spanned approximately 2014 to 2016. In order to see a change in response to that, we had to know what normal looked like. We saw hotter temperatures, we saw impacts on phytoplankton and other species. These things are crucial pieces of our ecosystem, and if they are not thriving, then nothing else can thrive. The salmon don't have food to eat, and then the orca don't have food to eat, and then we don't get to reap the benefits of healthy aquatic ecosystems.
Thanks for joining us for King County at your service. I'm Isaiah Artis. Check us out online at kingcounty.gov/KCTV. See you next time.